Yes. So a seeker finds the state of mindfulness 24 by 7 by knowledge, not by practice. I know I'm at my home, you know you are at your home, so we need not to do any practice. Just a knowledge is required. So when we try to define mindfulness, it is a state of being. How that state of being is known, so to say, mind stops searching outside for peace and happiness. So the wandering mind, it stops by naturally. There is another way that we have an intense desire for freedom. How it comes when we work on the mind. It is not that 1 hour we are a seeker, 23 hours we are a non seeker. It will not work. So, why we are a non seeker 23 hours? Because of the mind, because of our emotional dependence, because of our attachment and detachment, because of the false notion. So, that is why Buddha says when all these wrong notions are removed, we find an emptiness. But it is not enough to say emptiness. Emptiness reveals what we are. To be in the state of mindfulness 24 by 7, our mind should know what is mithya, means the false, what is satya, the truth, and what is untruth. If we do not keep that in our mind, and that is overshadowed by our being a non seeker, it will not work. It will work for a session. No, I feel very good. But then start feeling bad after a few hours. My master used to say 200% honesty to yourself is required. And to be an honest to yourself means you are a seeker. But that honesty to yourself should work 24 by 7. Now, in meditations, sir, very good, sir, you are very good. No, it will not work. Honesty to myself has to be there 24 by 7. That honesty gives us an understanding that what is truth. So when we say the truth is eternal, never changing, all pervading, permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, wisdom, it is pure consciousness. Whether you say it is real self, pure consciousness, or Brahman, whatever we say. Then comes the untruth. The untruth is non existence. I have given you an example, the elephant in the sky. Something with nothing. So, in between the two, there is what we say the false self. That false contains the partial truth and the partial non truth. Always keep this in the mind as a knowledge. What do you mean? I see you. Pay attention. I see you. It's a partial truth. not the complete truth. What is? So what happens in the false? It appears true, but it is not true. That is our topic. So once you maintain that awareness, by listening to it, you will be in the state of meditation or mindfulness. That is the first point. Second point, this false self do not exist without the real self. So they live together. They live together. Like what? Like the sky exists, and then there is a superimposition of blueness of the sky. So in order for the false to exist, the real is always there. Desert has to be there to see the water in the mirror. Husband has to be there in order to see. Behind the husband, there is a man. Behind the wife, there is a woman. Do you see that? So means what? Body appears true on the real self. The real self is there. And to understand, the body is superimposed on the real self. The moment the body appears on the real self, so then there is a distinction. I'm Girish, you are David, I'm Girish, you are Rakesh. So there is distinction, and ultimately then attributes, and we fall back into the delusion. Same way, happiness is superimposed, is false. So before we go further, now understand it clearly that can we do any practice for 24/7? The answer is no. Any action, leave aside the meditation. We cannot practice meditation 24/7 in order to be in that state all the time. Can we sleep 24 hours? Can we eat 24 hours? Can we drink 24 hours? Absolutely no. So our masters passes on the knowledge that action or the practice cannot help us to be into that state of mindfulness. Very clear. Because all actions are limited. All actions are limited. Are you clear? We cannot eat, drink, sleep, add lot of other stuff. Any action that you like, we cannot do it. And our all actions contradicts the pure consciousness. Why? That pure consciousness never goes into the mode of action. It doesn't do any practice. The moment you practice, you change. So what we have understood that the real self is unchanging, eternal, all-pervading, will be falsified. So when it is falsified, then we cannot achieve meditation 24/7. So whatever master says, what is required? Understanding is required. And knowledge is required. And who is fit for this knowledge? The seeker. Who is fit for this knowledge is a seeker. We have already discussed. Another reason for understanding is given by our master. If the real self is not our nature, we cannot be desiring permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom in all conditions, at all time, in all situations. So last week we understood that a metaphor is a symbol, image, comparison, or we can say a simile to understand the concept or a reality. We can vividly visualize unfamiliar concepts that my mind is not able to absorb, but my mind will only absorb when I am a seeker. I have understood the basics of the mind. It is so simple. You don't know the chemistry formulas like H2O, H2SO4 is the sulfuric acid, huh? But I don't know the basics, then I cannot understand chemistry. So the seeker helps me to know the basics. With that basics, we now are ready to understand and discover the state of mindfulness. Do you remember the example of the spider I gave? Spider brings forth, or spider extracts those threads and creates a network by itself. Web or house. Same with the real self. Real self also manifests everything, which includes body, mind, intellect, ego, and the entire world. So now we will go for deeper understanding of the clay pot and the clay. That is metaphor I have been using. So understand clearly, instantly, an instant understanding is there. The real has independent existence, the false has dependent existence. Means the clay is independent, clay pot is dependent on the clay. Say yes, even if you don't understand. So body has a dependent existence, the real self is independent. Because before the clay pot, clay was there. Before this body, the real self was there. I'm going with the same comparison. Now, if the clay pot breaks down, what remains? Clay still remains. The body breaks down, the body, or the real self still remains. Clay is all over the place of a clay pot. The real self is all over, outside, inside, in every cell of the body. It is always there. What it means? The clay, if I say the clay is intrinsically free from the potness. Did you get it? You have a pot, clay pot. So the clay is totally free from the partness. The real self is clearly free from the bodiness. Are you getting it? Are you with me? Just see that. I have to see in my head, in the field of awareness. If I am a seeker, I can see it. So let us go a little deeper. We have many parts of different shapes, sizes, function. So that function is limited, but the clay is all pervading in the clay pot. Clay is free from all the limitedness of the pot. Real self is not limited by the body. Body has a limitation. Body has a limitation. See that. We are using the metaphor for comparison, and so that we can go deeper. Body depends on the matter. And then we know that the matter depends on the earth and the water and the fire and the air and the space and the mind. It has limitedness. So once we have understood until now, then we can go a little deeper. So now understand what is the reality of the pot, comparing with what is the reality of the body. It is neither totally unreal nor absolutely real. It is in between. That is why we say it is false. But body is constantly changing. My baby body has died and I still exist. My kid body has died and still exist. My youth body has died. I still exist. Middle-aged body has died, still exist. Huh? According to the terms in US, after 65 you become a senior. So I have 2 years more to become a senior. But before this body, before becoming a senior, even if this body leaves, I still exist. I still exist. So body is neither absolutely unreal and nor absolutely real. And that is the definition of understanding of false. It is in between. So if I repeat, the clay is free from all the attributes of pot. Pot is false. I'm going slowly. And while appearing as pot, clay is free from the potness. You don't need to go inside the pot to discover clay, nor transcend the pot to get to the clay. It is visible, it is here and now. What did I say? A lot of people say, oh, let me close my eyes. To see the entire world, you keep your eyes open. And to see yourself, you close your eyes. So our great masters gave that reason. Why you are doing this? It is here and now. I am conscious, free from the bodiness. Isn't it? I am conscious, free from the bodiness. Then question comes that then, okay, why you are Girish and I am David? You see, if there is a consciousness, is all there. Example, why I am Girish? You are Brandy. You say I am conscious, free from the bodiness. But I must give a different names for the different forms to distinguish one from another. It is for the transactional reality, that is all. It is for the transactional reality. You are Brandy, I am Girish, you are David, you are Ashok. It is just for the transactional reality. It does not pollute the consciousness. But I miss the point. I accept the false as a real. I accept. You Terry, here is a Terry, here is a me, we both are different because of superimposition of the body on the real self. Our masters were reflected so deeply. I'm going slowly. I'll repeat it again until we start the journey of this text. I'm giving you the background material. I know, for example, I know Brandy as a human being. So that human being, so the brandiness is there, but the consciousness is only one. So even if I do not know about all the forms in the past, it does not affect the clay. If I do not know the different parts in the past, it does not affect the truth of the clay. If I don't know other people who are strangers to me, but they are the human being, it does not affect the truth of my consciousness. Because consciousness is all pervading. Did you get it? A seeker will definitely absorb this. So there are many undiscovered forms. The science has an objection. They say you don't know how the mosquito is, what is the plant, it's a live. No, we have seen the name in the form. It is bodiness. It is partness. We are discovering the real self. We are discovering the consciousness. I need not to know the different names in the forms because these names and forms are superimposed on the real self. When I know the real self in me, I know the real self in all. My consciousness expands. It undergoes a transformation. You can see it instantly. It is the same one reality is pervading everywhere. So it is pointless to know about all the forms in the world. Now, I know what is the essence behind the form. That takes us to the state of the mindfulness 24/7. See that I use the same metaphor. I am clay. I pervade the entire clay world. I never undergo any change in becoming the entire clay world. While forms and the names come and go, I remain constant. While I appear as a various forms, I intrinsically don't take on their attributes. My master used to say that I see myself in all of you, here and now. You drop the limitations of the body, mind, intellect. What is that? Partness. So once we discover that consciousness which you feel, which you experience, which you are aware, you are there in 24/7 of mindfulness. Just apply this clay pot metaphor to the real life. What it will be? Knowing clay as myself, the entire clay world is known. Clear? We know it. We are clear. But then how we convert this into knowing one content, everything in the universe becomes known. That's another challenge to the mind and the intellect. So we say, let us ask, what is real self. So we say it is Sat Chit Anand. For the sake of understanding, we say it is Sat. Sat means existence. What is existence? From that one existence, time and the space are created. From that existence, we have a past, present, and future. And we know that existence is beyond time and the space. We can even use the example of what we say, Big Bang. Before Big Bang, there was no time, space, and the forms. But since universe came, it implies it has to come from the existence. It cannot come from nothing, because you cannot find a single thing in existence that comes from nothing. Since existence is always there, and that existence is the truth. Let us pick up only one more thing, and then you have to, I believe, you listen to it again and again. While listening, raise your level of awareness. Choose any object, like a pot. What is pot made up of? Clay. What is clay made up of? Minerals. What is silica or this minerals, or you can say silica is one form. So what is the silica made up of? Atoms. What is atom made up of? Particles. What is particle made up of? Quarks. And what is that quark made of? According to the science, it is the space and the time. So what is space-time made up of? It is existence, because it came out of the existence. Huh? So it is the same reality. Whereas you go on examining what is the body made up of, and you will find that ultimately we reach to that state of existence. All the forms came out of the same existence. Last point. I started with mindfulness 24/7, and then we understood that no action, no practice can help us to reach to that state, final state. And then we understood it clearly. The false is superimposed in the mind, carried away by these false names in the forms. As long as we are not a seeker, we cannot understand what is false. In a class, in a session, we find we are real self. And after the class, we become false self. It's very challenging to accept the reality in our daily transaction. Why? It is difficult because I'm not a seeker. Simple. I'm going back again and again. This is what the master says. Clear? So let us go one more point. I like to explain in a simple way, the way the master explains. It demands a lot of other stuff, but I'm making it. So we have seen the different names in the forms. We have different names, almost we all are 9 people here. We have a different names in the forms. One aspect, and the changes in the names and the forms over the years. It is happening in an intelligent manner. We do not become 80 years old the moment we came out of the womb of the mother. It is happening by some intelligent operation behind. And that intelligence is the consciousness, that intelligence is the consciousness. And everything is happening by that consciousness. And that is the real self. Body depends on the matter, and the matter depends on the earth, water, air, fire. It means they are dependent. I'm holding on. So a constant awareness, you are living wisely. I should use that word. Living wisely means that we are aware of the cause and effect. Living wisely means simply that I am totally aware, 100% clear about the cause and effect. So body is the material cause, the birth of the body. Then the instrumental cause is my parents. My parents gave me the birth. Are you getting it? And then the third one is the efficient cause. There is some intelligent operation going on, that is existence, and that is the real self. And that is the spider who oozes out the different manifestations to create the body, the mind, and the intellect, and the ego, and the thoughts, etc. So once we are settled into that consciousness, here with the metaphor, the clay, if I see the clay everywhere in the pot, we get carried away by the color, the shape, and this. Oh, from where you bought this clay pot? Oh, I got it. How much it costs? $90. Normally the pot comes with the $5. Maybe $2, $3 sometimes. So I'm giving more importance to the body. I am more beautiful than you, smarter than you. I'm referring to the body. So I fall back into the false and I lose that. Reality. We'll talk about, I'll relate it to the quantum physics also next time. Summary is simple summary. Let us see that how we can summarize in our journey. Eyes are closed. So we can understand the body, but we forget when I say the eyes are closed. Eyes are the part of the body. Body is superimposed over the real self. And then I say, look inside the head. So it is the mind. Mind is not looking inside. That's another manifestation. That's another form. And then we say, we have to control the mind. Control the mind. Without consciousness, you cannot even think of controlling the mind. So the very consciousness is already present in the mind. Why you want to control the mind? You see the different teachings contradicts each other, but they contradict in a very positive way. They show us there are many ways to reach to that mindfulness 24/7. So I said, eyes are closed, you are aware. It's a one manifestation. Mind is looking inside at the same time, the mind is wandering. It is another manifestation. And I live into that extraordinary awareness in which everything is happening. That is it. So, in the beginning, we call it an observer. We call it as a witness, consciousness. In Sanskrit, we say it is sakshi, witness. This is what the Buddha says. It leads to a sense of emptiness, nothingness. So that nothingness is beyond the name and the form. I don't see the clay pot, I see the clay all over. That is nothingness. And we start trying suppressing the mind, controlling the mind. No, it will not work. It means you have started doing the practice. I believe you are becoming clearer and clear. To tell you again, just be aware, or you are already aware. You are aware of the body, clay pot, but I'm aware of the body. That awareness pervades everywhere. Then only I'm aware of the body. And if I say you are aware of awareness, we are done. Then the body moves or lives in the state of steadiness. It doesn't make any difference. Why? I'm not a clay pot. No, what about the thoughts? I'm not a thought. No, what about the feeling and the sensation? I'm none of them. My feeling, my sensations, they are recognized by the mind, takes place in the body because of the matter. All are the names in the forms, and I'm none of them. At least the spider knows fully that the spider is not the web. They, they recall the spider knows fully the spider is not the web, hence, that spider is never caught in the web. And we are always caught in the web. That's why we have ignorance. That web is created to catch a prey. But the spider is never caught in the web. But even I saw one day that a big snake is also caught in the same web and dies. It was such a beautiful metaphor that I got it because real self, if I'm the real self has created the web of the world and we are caught into it. That is why we say we are we have to remove the ignorance. Awareness of the body, awareness of the shape and the form of the body, awareness of the experience taking place in the body. What is common awareness? That's another way to look at it. Seeker means who instantly separates the false from the truth. You simply pay attention to what is false, maintain your awareness, you will enter into the truth. Water in the mirage. The moment we see the water in the mirage, we know there is no water. It appears. That is why I said. I'm taking a deeper step further. We'll simplify. We can also live into awareness by separating the false I from the real I. The real I will remain as it is. So Buddha gives one more technique. So when the thought comes, we simply say, I am thinking. When you feel something, Buddha says, say to your mind, I am feeling. I am the body, I am feeling. What it has to do with the false I and the real I? I am feeling. It has the two I. One I is I am only, and other I is I am feeling. And this I am feeling is the false I. That I am is pure awareness. It is here and now. And if you live into that awareness of I am, one, I am doing, thinking, feeling, experiencing is another I. The other I is made up of the five sheet and the one I am. So we need not to focus on I am. You need not to focus I am feeling. Okay, it's a clay pot. I am thinking, clay pot. I am feeling, clay pot. I'm agitated, clay pot. I'm stressed, clay pot. I feel good, clay pot. So that potness disappears. Hotness disappears. Bodiness disappears. Blueness of the sky disappears. The water in the mirage disappears. What is left? According to Buddha, nothingness is left. All the names and forms are gone. But not one is intellectual thinking and one is simply being aware here and now. No worries, even if it is challenging, at least you're doing. You're into the not doing, you're not in the state of not doing. You're just in the state of being aware. I gave you another example. So you see that I left all the steps today. So the mind says, no, teach me in a sequence. The moment I teach in a sequence, it becomes a practice. Perhaps you might not have noticed before. Mind says, I want to see the clay pot in a clay. I want to see the clay in a clay pot. But I'm seeing it. The mind has to uncover the false notion of the shape and the name of that pot. That is potness. And the clay is independent of potness. It is still visible. I can see that. Can I see my real self in the bodiness, mindness, thoughtness, feelingness? I'm there. Again, I'm using the same two metaphor. One metaphor, clay pot and clay. Clay is visible, but my mind perceives the name in the form. I perceive the clay pot, not the clay. I perceive the body, not so the moment I'm aware of this potness, thoughtness, bodiness, feelingness, they disappear. I only see the clay, I only see that pure awareness and consciousness. Buddha says that is nothingness. That is emptiness. Body moves, movingness, because consciousness doesn't move. When you see clearly that ness, potness, see clearly, I told you, when we express anything, any thought, it contains, when we experience anything, it contains real self and the false. The false cannot exist independently. Where there is a false, there is a real self. So if that is clear, you become aware of the false and that disappears. What is left is the real self. You become aware of the clay pot, disappears. Potness goes. No limitation. You see your honey, remove the honeyness. You see that? You see your body, remove the bodiness. It has nothing to be done. Remove the bodiness by the knowledge. You see the thought, remove the thought by the thoughtness. Now I'm not going very deeper, but I switched on into a different mode so that is why we say mindfulness 24/7. Any small element of doership enters through the mind, that is false self. Now I have a lot of thoughts I have to control first. No, thoughtness, hotness. The mind wants us to put into delusion. Okay, now do it. You have recognized there is a problem, do it. There is no problem in the real self, in the existence, in the consciousness. Living from moment to moment. I am happy. The whole sentence is false self. Well, I'm happy because of outer conditions and circumstances. And what is there in it? Second, I is only I am. They are so much mixed up, they create a delusion. That is the understanding. The false is superimposed over the real self. Where there is a real self, the false I also is there. That is what we explained by the metaphor. Metaphor of clay pot with a clay. Clay is the essence with the spider and the web house of the spider. So if I claim I'm the web of a spider, that is the false self, constantly changing. So we are a seeker, we live into that awareness. We continue talking, I'm stressed or I'm happy, but internally I have already separated thought from the clay, happiness from the consciousness, stress from the consciousness, thought from the consciousness, body from the consciousness. What happens? So Buddha is talking about that state of nothingness. The moment you recognize the thoughtness, that very thought or the feeling do not disturb you. Even if it disturbs you, that experience of disturbances is nothing but the partners. You can say that's very intense awareness. Yes. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. The sound has come from outside. So there continues to be an awareness of the two I am, and I'm experiencing the sound of Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We do not recognize, but they are separated at a deeper level. That is why we experience that calmness and peace. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand. That too is the false side. For the sake of transactional reality, when I say bring the mind on the right hand, and that is separated from I am. Physical? No. Mental? No. Emotionally? No. By knowledge? Yes. Bring the mind on the left palm. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes, open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. Bring the hands down. Beautiful. How are you, David and Jai?
I'm having a hard time finding words to describe it because it was very, very deep, very aware of nothing is the only way I can describe it.
That's a beautiful explanation. Beautiful. How are you, Terry?
Good. Namaste. Thank you, sir. Yeah, same. I guess there's a knowing, and there's this
Yeah.
knowing that there's no beginning and no end, just a continuum.
Yes. Knowing that continues without any limitation. Our masters have found out that consciousness is infinite and all pervading. Beautiful. How are you, Rakesh?
Thank you, sir. Sir,
Thank you.
I was watching the body and the breath, and I realized that uh, the flow of my watching is on the outer layer.
Huh?
So, so why not go to the inner layers to see what is there? And I moved inside, and in inside, it was, I can't explain what it was, but it was so deep and so peaceful. Uh, I I I can't explain.
Beautiful. That's Riya. Let we live into that state of the being. That is good. How are you, Brandy?
Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you. I think it's really helpful for me to think about the consciousness being in all of the false I to create that separation. It's sometimes when I overly identify with the false I-ness, I can create a little battle trying to control it, like you said about the mind. But it's much simpler to just see, like the clay in the pot, right? As you say. And then I think that's where I was really able to settle down thinking about that.
Beautiful. Clay in the pot or the spider and the web. Do you see that the spider is there? There is nothing outside. The spider doesn't take any material from outside. It brings every material from inside. And it creates a web. And luckily, I don't know, I was looking at this channel, and they were showing that spider created a web, and the snake entered into the web, and that spider was taking over the snake, and the snake died in few minutes. What is the message? It is in one Upanishad, this example of spider and web. I'm not teaching anything because I told you that I don't know anything. So the Upanishad that explains that from the real self, all the manifestation took place. What is that manifestation? Body, mind, intellect, thought, ego, etc. And we are caught into it. We are caught into our own web. That is ignorance. That ignorance is to be removed. How are you, Terry?
I'm observing myself experiencing a lot of hotness.
Be good.
When you're having an unpleasant experience and then you want it to stop and have a good experience.
Be good.
I then you get, I get angry when it doesn't stop.
Yes.
And I was thinking about what you said, how your master, somebody abused him, and how he was able to not have an emotional impression from that. I
Oh, you remember that.
Yeah.
So body is abusing bodiness. You are separate from bodiness, mindness, thoughtness, angriness. You're not living. Once we live into that awareness, you are already free from the body.
if I make my million mistakes, I just don't want to build more impressions from them.
Now that mistakeness, separate yourself from mistake. That is what it is. That is, we miss it. That is why I explained you the example of a spider and the web. We are caught in our own web that we have created. Yes. So that is how we get. How are you, Anastasia?
Thank you, I'm fine. It was very quick and peaceful. And it's amazing for me how this separation actually helps to accept your body or yourself forms, I mean, because I was struggling with this and now I am in a peace about this. A little bit more than it was before.
Beautiful. Understand. That is what helps me to design the next lesson. You see what she said, what David said, and what you all guys said. But she said one very distinct, that our mind do not accept easily. What she said, that when I separated, when I feel that separation, there comes an acceptance of the body as it is. That is the point. So when we separate, Terry, the 100% acceptance comes. What is that acceptance? Spiders say, I created the web. I cannot be caught into the web, but I can catch the snake also. Now that sense of acceptance is another way. How are you, Ashok?
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, sir.
Very quiet, peace, and progressive.
Yes, I could see your face and your eyes and your expression. From the day you joined and now there is a change.
Definitely. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. How are you, Vaibhav?
Namaste, I'm good. It was peaceful and quiet.
It was peaceful and quiet. That is good. How are you, Samir?
Sir, it was very, means everything stopped inside. And there is a lot of, in before, whole day, before I speak anything, lot of times I stop. I just don't respond many times. Before I used to respond very quickly and hastily. Now I stop. I just don't give response of so quickly. And many times I don't even respond of the things I think I should not.
There is no need to respond. There is no need to respond. This mind lives in a different states of ignorance, is always ready to react and suppress and long list. So this is an effect of mindfulness, that we have a space before we respond. And that space helps us to be in peace and happiness. So we have covered everything. Terry, remember, bodiness, angeredness, thoughtness, mistakeness. Otherwise, this false I creates a duality. Now I'm suffering, what should I do? And then we start doing something. So that creates a chain reaction. And that chain reaction puts me into my ignorance, and ignorance causes the suffering. That is all for today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Namaste, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Namaste.
Namaste.